Hello, my friends. It's Pearlo Wisdom here for People Picks. And I'm going to tell everybody I'm live right now. I'm going to do that right now. Create a post, text. NHL Picks is what we're doing here. If you didn't already know that. Everybody in the land knows that's what we're doing. There we go. So, last night was what I call a give and take type night. We'll go down through every game, and I will talk about the Orlov trade. No, don't worry about that. I will. Thursday. Okay, we had the Capitals, and why shouldn't we have? Until Orlov was traded to Boston, and then I was like, I don't like this move. I don't like this pick anymore. You got Ovechkin coming off of his father passing away, and then everybody in the land knowing, and I imagine there was rumblings about this to begin with, that they were going to trade a few pieces off, and they did. However, if we look at it, Washington did outplay them, but it seemed like Gibson had decided we ain't losing this game. And here we go. I'll be on for a while, by the way. I've got lots of time today on this Friday to talk anything you want to talk about. So we're not losing this game. And he went out and did such as that. And if you remember, I don't know if I talked about it in the live stream, I said Gibson save prop was probably a good call, but guess what? I didn't bet it, which was kind of silly because even if I thought the Capitals were going to win, they were probably going to get enough shots to get them over to save prop. I didn't even check to see what it was. I was so consumed by all of the other picks in the land that I didn't go there. I had like everybody else did, Ovechkin to get over 1.5 points, and he certainly didn't do that. I did have the shots on goal, which worked out well. But when I found out that Orlov was going to be traded to Boston, I really thought that Anaheim would win the game. And Anaheim did win the game. It's just too much bad news, bad news, bad news. You know, you have Ovechkin with his father, then he comes back and everybody's like, yay, Orlov is traded. So we know now that Washington is selling off, which is probably the right thing to do. As far as the trade itself, it's an okay return. Okay, let's look at the return. I'll go over here to Hockey Rumors, one of the finest publications in the land. On what we call Eric Larson. Let's look at it. Where is it? Has it really been that much news? Okay, here we go. Boston Bruins acquire Garnet Hathaway and Dmitry Orlov. So the deal was basically Boston's first round pick in 2023, third round pick in 2024, Boston's second round pick in 2025. Washington will retain 50%. The 2023 draft is deep, but not that deep. It's not like, oh, you're getting a for sure NHLer in 2023 at like maybe 30, 32. It's basically like getting 2 second round picks. people were saying, well, it's like the Sherratt deal. Well, no, not so much, because there was a better chance that Florida was going to give you a better pick in that deal. And Orlov is a better player than Sherratt. Sorry, by a long shot, by the way. Sherratt's starting to play a little better in Detroit. My thinking was that Stevie Yzerman, who is the finest male person in the land, thought, like all the other GMs, that they would be able to take the package of tools that Sherratt has and turn him into a fantastic player. And I don't doubt that that may happen. But it really hasn't happened yet. He hasn't did like lots of great stuff in Detroit. His analytics are still pretty bad. He's kind of a lot like Sherratt. He's sort of like that big, huge robot with all the tools that you want to get to do something, but he always goes this way instead of that way. As far as Orlov is concerned, yeah, he hasn't had a great year. He hasn't had a great year defensively this year, but neither has anybody in Washington. And previous to this, he has been a very good defensively and very good and pretty good offensively. So I think it was a great pickup by Boston. I don't know if they'll be able to sign him again, but I would have made that deal all day long. So I wanted to talk about that. Boston is not worrying about tomorrow right now. As far as Washington is concerned, the thing was that they said that they couldn't work out a deal with Orlov. Well, I imagine that had to do with term, and it might have to do with money, and it's also to do with the fact that Washington needs to get younger. They got to go a different direction. I honestly don't think Washington is going to be rebuilding, but the energy in the land would have been, at the time, in Washington land anyways, would have been pretty bad. And I wish I would have taken Anaheim when I heard that news, but I was locked in, so I didn't do it. And we lost that bet. I also had the over it pushed. I had Ovechkin minus 1.5. I did get Wilson to get a... No, I didn't even get Wilson to get a point. I thought Wilson got a point. So, prop-wise, I sucked yesterday, to tell you the honest truth, and we'll see that as we go through here. If you remember but that was big. I really thought that Washington was going to come out strong and all that kind of stuff like that, and they probably would have had Orlov not been traded beforehand. Joe Rogan asks, do you think the Flames will make the playoffs? I think they might barely make it in, but it doesn't really matter. Until that team loosens up and starts picking corners, they're playing so tight, it's ridiculous. They played loose against Arizona, and then when we'll get into that, when they go up against Vegas, they get a lead, and then all of a sudden they're playing scared. They're playing scared, okay? Is that on Sutter? Yeah, it's on Sutter. That is on the coach. But on the same note, when they made that deal, people got like all sensationalized, I like to call it. They got all emotional about how good they did based on what they lost. Okay? Huberdeau is not Goudreau. The fact that he got 101 points in Florida means virtually nothing. That guy flew the zone and cherry-picked all the time. He wasn't going to do that in Calgary. And you're not going to win a cup doing that. So I don't blame Florida for doing what they did. Kadri was on a, and again, Huberdeau also was on a contract year. Kadri was on a contract year. Kadri is a 60 to 80 point, somewhere around player. He had a 100-point season. You think he's going to do that in Calgary? No, he's not. He's certainly not going to do that in Calgary with who he's playing with there compared to who he was playing with Colorado, without the motivation of having the huge contract that he just got. So I didn't have Calgary making the playoffs to start the season. Now they may bubble, get in, whatever the case may be. It seems about right. And everybody's blaming Sutter. Give Sutter another year with this group, I guess. But the fact of the matter is, when Sutter coached in LA, the last 2-3 years that he coached in LA, they couldn't score. And he kept on blaming the players. Now he comes to Calgary, they can't score. You know why they can't score? Because they're shooting right. They're not playing fluid. They're playing tight, almost like statuesque type hockey. When I say statuesque, I mean they're stiff. They're playing stiff. And they did in LA at the end of that time. He shames players. He challenges players. He does all of those sort of things like that. His analytics are beautiful. Always. His the expected goals for, expected goals against, all of that with Sutter is great. I would have him as an assistant coach all day long. But he has proven that he can't loosen up the room enough to be able to pick corners. You know what I mean by that? I mean, the players got to play. You got to let the players play. If you have them thinking constantly during everything that they're doing, they're probably not going to score. They're not playing to their natural way of playing hockey. And that's what he does there. It's all just, there's another guy that was like that too. It was Dan Bilesma. Dan Bilesman was a lot like that too. His analytics were always amazing, but the players always played tight. And that's what Sutter is. I would take him as assistant coach. In fact, I'd pay him a shitload to have him as an assistant coach. But as a head coach, he's too riled up. He's too tight. He's too... He kind of gets me as a guy where he has expectations, and if you reach them, he kind of likes you. Rather than celebrating how great you are because you did what you did. So the players always feel like they're trying to reach an expectation, but never feeling like they get there. And that's what I see happening in Calgary right now. Not to mention the deal for Huberdeau. Huberdeau is like, if you saw when Huberdeau left Florida, he said, he told publicly, he said, fuck them or fuck you or something like that. When he found out he was going to be traded, he said that to Florida. What does that tell me? To publicly say that exactly with those words as you leave? Fairly stubborn dude. I don't think Huberdeau is very happy. The whole time he was in Florida, he could basically do what he wanted to do. He could fly the zone. See, what Huberdeau does in Florida, what he did in Florida, is he would fly the zone too early. When I say that, the defensive zone, he would fly the zone too early when he thought the puck was going to come out. And then he would get into the offensive zone before everybody else, and he has sublime passing skills, and he would pass to whatever player was coming in the zone after them doing all the work in the defensive zone. That's the way he wants to play. On the left side, by the way. And Sutter plays him on the right side and says, no, that's not how we're playing here in Calgary. In Calgary here, you help out the defense. And you get in the physical shape necessary to do that for 82 games. When Sutter says help out the defense, he practically says play defense. Which he doesn't have to do with this lineup. They have enough of a defense that you don't have to play for the defense here. You see it in Boston. Boston has not as good of defensemen as Calgary, actually. But they can move the puck well enough that they don't have to go play defense for 82 games, and they play a much more fluid game. So you asked me about it, that's why. You had Flames at 12. Oh no, you really? Oh boy, that sucks, dude. I know, Joe. You. I know. I remember you saying what they do every time they win or something. You put a little bit on a future on them. CL, how you doing, my friend? I'm looking down here. I should put you up here so I can see y'all. How you doing, CL? Welcome to the land, my friend. Yeah, I know. You told me. Yeah, you told me that last year. Did that work out for you at the end of the year, Joe? You literally called that yesterday. Lost in overtime. Yeah, good for you, Lil Perk. Um, I didn't have anything on the side there on the Vegas game. I had the over, though. I did have the over. So I did not too bad on that game. But yesterday, I think I was down like 5 units, though, because of props. My prop betting has been shit, to tell you the honest truth. Flat out, don't play my props right now. They're not going well. They usually do really well, but lately they haven't been doing very well. Thursday, come on. Sabres versus Lightning. We all had the over in the land, I would hope, on this game. I had Lightning in a parlay, but I wasn't really big on it. If you remember, I was talking yesterday, I could see Boston winning this game, and they did. They won it in overtime. Lightning have a difficult time with these young guys that play very speedy and stuff like that, especially in the spot that they were in. My props didn't hit. I had Cousins to get a point. 6 goals. Cousins has been on a roll, and he doesn't get a point. That was my major prop on there. But I had big on the over on that game, so I wasn't too worried about it. As long as I got the over, I was fine. Oilers versus Penguins. I had the Oilers. Penguins are done, 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 done. It's over. I've never seen a team look so defeated. Well, that's not, I'm overstating it, but certainly not a Penguins team ever looked defeated, and they sure looked defeated last night. This is a team that doesn't believe that they're good enough. For the first time in their history, they don't believe that they're good enough. The Oilers were smacking their lips all over this game and actually probably kind of took it easy on them. When the Oilers were up 1-0, after watching it for a little while, I took the Oilers -1.5 live bet, and I should have put way more on it than I did. I put it like a couple unit, 3 units or something like that, because it was over before it got started. The Oilers wanted this game. They totally defeated them. And no, I didn't have the over on this game. I should have had the over in this game, but I didn't. It's hard to bet sevens, you know? It really is. Cut it down to the 4 American teams and make money? Well, this year, I mean, Colorado's still going to be there, of course, but I don't. It's a tough year to say who's going to win the cup, because whoever wins the cup out of the West is probably going to have the easiest time. You would think it's a much easier division. Um, in the East, there's going to be a lot of grind out series there, I would think, but I'm sticking with Boston to break the President's Trophy trend here. I think they'll break the trend, especially with the move they made with Orlov, Allmark. I mean, this team is driven this year. Driven. to win every game. Like any President's Trophy, though, you got to kind of worry about have they put out too much. But if you watch Boston, besides the game last night where I had Boston in regulation, and I put a live bet of Boston in regulation when they were tied in the second, I think, after Pasternak scored. After Pasternak scored, I took the live on Boston in regulation. But a lot of the games they play, they don't even look like they're trying that hard. Unlike like with Tampa Bay, Florida, they were playing like a balls out offensive style. Boston's not doing that. Boston is winning in every way and not looking like they're trying that hard to do it. I really think that there's a chance that Boston breaks the mold, wins the President's Trophy, and wins a cup this year. Yeah, a lot of the teams in the West, Joe, for sure, I agree with you totally. They wouldn't even make the playoffs in the East. Like, if you were to take a team like the Islanders and put them in the West, especially like in the Pacific, they would probably be pretty comfortably in a playoff spot right now. The East is way stronger, no doubt about that. The one that I'm mad about, and did we get to it? Yeah, we already did it. I didn't play a play. I forgot about it. Don't you hate that? And that was Gibson over 30, 30.5 or something like that saves. I forgot all about it. I could have played that play and I forgot all about it. But I won't go through all the Oilers stuff. I mean, they just ruined the Penguins. Devils, if you remember yesterday, we had the Devils. It was a bit scary. But I didn't take the over, although I did lean the over. And basically, I don't even know why I didn't take the over, because the Kings just don't have a goaltender that you can count on every game. They started out well, they're playing loose and all that kind of stuff like that. I had Kempe over shots, didn't get that. My props, like I said yesterday, were terrible. People keep on undervaluing New Jersey. And I don't know what they're going to be in the playoffs because they're pretty green. You got, Heischer's getting to that point where he's not green anymore. You got Hughes that, he's amazing. They are pretty green, but I don't think you can undersell. Look, Hamilton didn't even have a shot. I didn't play that. I was going to play that shot prop, and I didn't. But he's been overshots like crazy. So what New Jersey did here was, by the looks of it, is they played. So Marino had 2 shots. Severson had 2 shots. Siegenthaler's playing bottom minutes right now. It looks like what they did is they played their offensive lines like Hughes and all that against the top lines of LA. I didn't really watch much of this game. And then they depended on their depth to win the game, which it eventually did. Now, they got down early. You still got the goaltending questions of Vanacek. But Vanacek started kind of rough and then played well after that. It does bode well for the Devils that they won at home. They've been having a difficult time winning at home. That usually happens with young teams like the Buffalo Sabres. They get nervous at home. They have family watching, all that kind of stuff like that. As you go along here, I just have a feeling that the Devils are going to start winning at home more. Because, and a lot of people don't agree with me here and haven't agreed with me since they hired him, I think Lindy Ruff is an amazing coach. amazing coach. And he's brought this team, he's developing this team very, very well. I'd say with the Devils this year, I'm probably running about 50-50. There's some spots where I gave them too much credit, and some spots where I didn't give them enough credit. But I did like them here, even at minus 145. And I was a little worried, of course, because LA came started out so well, but they scored 2 goals right away. I almost wanted to take the Devils after they scored 2 goals to win in the third, but I never did pull the trigger on it. I like this Devils team. I like the way they're analytically amazing. Dawson Mercer. Why didn't I have a Dawson Mercer point prop? I have no idea. He's playing very well recently. Look at Dawson Mercer props in the future. Like I said, I've got lots of time today, so you guys can talk about whatever you want. I feel like blabbing, so go ahead and talk about whatever you want. If you want to talk about the trade or whatever. Wild versus Blue Jackets. I didn't take a side here. I was kind of leaning to the Blue Jackets, actually, which wasn't a bad play. I mean, Fleury played better than he has been as of late. Yeah, the Blue Jackets had 30 shots. I thought they played well most of the game. But my big play was the under, and we got the under on this one. I mean, the Wild have been playing under over and over and over again. So I just went with it, and we got it. I don't feel bad about the Blue Jackets pick, especially since they kind of, they kept up with Minnesota the whole game. But I didn't pick Minnesota as an actual bet. It was just more of a lean. This Minnesota team, I think, is it in trouble? No, I think it's a growing team. And this is what, I guess we can talk about this. Minnesota, again, retained salary to get a draft pick for the Orlov trade. And the trade before that was the O'Reilly trade. They did the same thing. And people were surprised, saying, aren't they going to go for making the playoffs and all that kind of stuff like that? I wasn't really surprised. Guerin's a pretty smart guy. He looks at his roster and he thinks, are we really a contender? No, not really. This is a team that I thought all along they're building towards the Parise and Suter contracts coming off, and they want to grab as many assets until then. If they happen to do well, then they do well. That's it. You can catch lightning in a bottle, make it into the playoffs, and you never know. That's why you grab a guy like Fleury, give it a shot. If he can get that magic back again, then, maybe you go on a huge run. It's all about basically making it in and hoping. And that's what he's been doing the whole while. So making these deals where he retains is a smart move. Grab a fourth, grab a fifth, could turn into a player. And that's kind of where they are there. They're sort of in the middle, and they're okay with that, building as much as they can, getting as much depth as they can. So when those Parise and Suter contracts come off, they can go into the free agent market, fill the holes, and go for it. That's what I kind of figured his plan was. Calgary plays the Avs tomorrow, Joe says. They probably won't win. I can't. The Avs will be on a back-to-back, but they've had 4 days off. So, yeah, I would definitely lean the Avs there, I think. Yeah, I had that over too. But I did think if there ever was going to be an under, that was going to be it. But I put the over in there too. I should have put it for less. Oh, on play AB? Oh, okay, cool. Good to know, my friend. What did we have after that? Red Wings Rangers, and I totally butchered this one. I had the over. It was a bad spot for the Red Wings, but they just keep on rolling. Andrew Kopp last night looked like a man possessed. Probably one of the best games he's played. Zadina scores again. I mean, look at some Zadina props. Ever since he's come back from that injury, he must have went and got some psychological help or something, which is good for him because apparently Zadina's biggest problem was how much he beat himself up all the time. So I wouldn't doubt he took some time off, got some sports psychology help and stuff like that. I would look at Zadina props all day. I did have Larkin to get a point here as one of my few props that came in last night. But the Rangers did play well. A little concerning, 2 games in a row where they completely outshot the opposition but couldn't score. So is that going to break out the next game, or are we looking at, again, a Rangers team that struggles heavily 5-on-5? Tarasenko is a good 5-on-5 player, but when they made the trade, I wasn't sure that it was going to be enough. I don't know what the answer is here. A lot of they're young until that young group of Lafreniere, Kako, and Hedel grow and blossom. They're the best 5-on-5 players they have. I think they could be in a bit of trouble. I'm still not leaning the Rangers against New Jersey. I'm leaning New Jersey in that series. Simply because New Jersey plays a type of system that I just don't think the Rangers can compete against. Their system, when they get desperate, they do long passes through the middle. They just try to play a pure offensive game, and I just don't think it translates well. Shesterkin hasn't had a great year this year for him, and I think that has something to do with that. I'll play Alberta's like one of the best sites out there, no doubt about it. It's a great site. I would highly recommend it. The only thing is you won't get a push in Play Alberta. Everything is either 5.5 or 6.5, stuff like that on over unders. But you can get a nice 5.5 over at like -170 when you believe it's going to be an over. There's a lot of options that they give you. You can play somebody to win in over 5.5, over 6.5, over 4.5. Not much on the shot prop stuff, but their first period is always over 2 or under 2. So if you're looking for an over 2 first period, Play Alberta is a great place to go. They usually give you pretty good odds on that. I like them a lot. I definitely like that site a lot. Canucks versus Blues. I had a lot on the over here, as much as I had on the Tampa Bay Buffalo game, which is unfortunate because I ended up taking a loss overall. But I had the Canucks ML for like one Pearlo, 1 unit. I just don't think this Blues team is going to win much going forward. The Canucks seem, they're playing with heart. They've always been playing with heart all year. They just have no defense. You can't have the defense that they have. The chaos draft there in Myers, playing top 4 minutes with Seelofs and net. And uh, what's his name that's going to be in on Saturday. Make sure you're tapping that like button if you could. Just get as many people in here as possible. I see 0 likes. I don't usually do that, but I should probably, we're getting more people interested in what I'm saying here. So try to hit that like button. It helps out the channel quite a bit. What's his name? Jeez. By the way, I'm going to be doing a Meyer trade video probably today. So if you're interested in that, be watching out for that. I don't know if you guys have Twitter too. I do live bets here. Pearlo's NHL POW. That's my Twitter. You can go check that out too. You can put the @ in front of that. Yeah. Are you guys going to help me out here, or I got to go look? I don't know why his name has totally escaped me. Not Colin Dill. Uh-oh. Spencer Martin is supposed to be back. If he's back the next game, I mean, take team total over X team against Spencer Martin. I don't know why it's not letting me show that. Not reporting, I'm showing. Why? What's going on? For some reason, it's not oh, maybe if I go over here. I got to show you a message there. Okay, it won't show. My $30 parlay. Oh, did you delete it? I don't know why it's not showing. Yeah, the Flames, I should really just always bet the Flames to lose when they're up every game. Just do that. If we would have did that all season long, man, oh man, the pearls that it would have been in the land would have been amazing. And now it's gotten to the point where you just got to do it every time. Wait for the Flames to be up a goal or two, bet the other team, whatever the other team is. I had the goal. I think if you remember last night, I think I took the over on that game, which was good. I didn't take shot props on the Flames for reasons I can't explain. Bruins in regulation, I had. Man, the Kraken made it interesting, though, didn't they? But this Bruins team in the third period is just money. When they were 2-2, I put another 2 pearls. So I had 5 pearls in regulation on the Bruins. I put another 2 pearls on it when they were tied in the second period. Just expect the Bruins to pull a game out all the time, especially against a team that kind of embarrassed them a little bit when they were at home. Honestly, the Kraken played a hell of a game. But the Bruins just seem to be able to find a way all the time, and I wonder if that'll translate in the playoffs. If you remember yesterday, I kind of hummed and hawed about this Predators-Sharks game, but eventually I went with the Predators on the show, and the Predators won in regulation. So that was a nice one. My lean on that was basically San Jose beat Seattle, who was obviously looking ahead to that Boston game. And all the daddies in the land were in there. It was like the end of the daddies tour. And Meyer and Hurdle. I by the way, I didn't bet the Sharks at that time. First of all, because I didn't know this. Meyer and Hurdle were out, but so all of these other players like Svechnikov and stuff like that had the opportunity to showcase themselves in front of their dads And they did. And Seattle was just like, yeah, let's get to Boston. But I didn't think that was going to be the case with the Predators, who still probably think that there's a fighting chance for them to make it. And all the daddies went home, so the Sharks are just left with Hurdle came back and a bad team. So I like the Predators in that. I should have probably liked it more than I did, to tell you the honest truth. But oh, you lost on the Canucks Blues over. Yeah, it was kind of a no-brainer, yeah. Babano from the Ice Guys had the Sharks. I was like, what? Every once in a while, everybody puts in a bad bet. That was a bad bet. Okay, let's look at tonight's games. You got Ottawa, Carolina. I mean, it's really hard not to take. This is actually a pretty good spot for Ottawa. It's not a bad spot for Ottawa. The problem is they're putting Talbot in net, who is completely rusty. Wasn't playing well, but then maybe he was playing injured. It has the capability of just shutting things down every once in a while. I mean, I don't mind the play for Ottawa here. I really don't. They've been playing well. They're going to be working their ass off. Carolina has been blowing everybody away in the land up until now. Our teams haven't even been putting up much of a fight. It's been under the last 5-6 games on the road against Carolina. And I think that's likely the case here if Carolina wins. If you like Ottawa for some reason here, if you like Ottawa, which I'm not totally opposed to Ottawa winning this game. If you like Ottawa here, you got to go the over. They are not beating Carolina 3-1 or 2-1. Carolina, on the other hand, if you like Carolina, I think you got to go the under here. It doesn't make sense for Carolina to go run and gun with Ottawa. It's the only way that they can lose. Ottawa has a poor defense. Sanderson is back, which is going to help a lot. But it's a shutdownable offense, and they can get some goals early and shut it down, like they often do. So I would lean to the under here. Well, look at the recent games. Okay, Ottawa lost to Boston. Look at their game logs. Ottawa loses to Boston on the road, and now they're going into Carolina. Is Ottawa going to be like, is this a rebound game for Ottawa? I don't think so, because nobody expects them to beat Boston. Anyways, they have Montreal coming up tomorrow, and they play Carolina. I think they're going to give it a good go. No doubt about that. I think they're going to give it a shot. I could see them possibly winning this, and this is the reason why. And I'm not saying I'm taking Ottawa here, but Carolina's been playing very easy competition this whole way through. They had Montreal slaughtered them. Some people thought that there was a look-ahead game to the outdoor game. It certainly wasn't. They had Washington on the road after losing to the Rangers 6-2. That was their first game back after the All-Star break, and they've been rolling ever since. Now they got Ottawa, they got Anaheim after that, and then they go on the road. Since they have Anaheim after this, what are they going to do against Ottawa? I say They don't need to do much against Anaheim to beat them. And if you look at the standings, let's look at the standings. I mean, they're fairly comfortable in first place in the East. They have New Jersey, who just won a game behind them. And I do think it's very important to this organization to win to win that division. Like, all of these things are very marketable. So I don't think that they're going to take this completely lightly, and they haven't really shown that they take games lightly all year, really. Like, look at their losses. They lost to the Rangers in a bad spot. They lost to Vancouver. What happened? Bad goaltending was the problem there. They went on a 4-game losing streak. What was that? Not long before the break. Kind of. Oh yeah, that was. They were playing road home, which is always tough. Go on the road, come home. Go on the road, come home. Go on the road, you know. But before that, they went on this huge winning streak and slaughtered everybody. Everybody. Bad teams, good teams. Doesn't matter. They were slaughtering everybody. Now, they did have a 4-game winning streak in November where they went Calgary, Pittsburgh, St. Louis, who wasn't thought of as a bad team, LA, and then they had a letdown spot on the road after 4 games and then came back and win the Islanders. It's possible it could be sort of a letdown spot, but I think I'm going to go. I think Ottawa's going to come out crazy. I think this would be a good first period over. I think this would be a good first period over. And funny thing, an under overall. I think it's going to be a fairly tight battle, actually. I think Ottawa really wants to take Carolina here. And Carolina's just going to pick them apart. Ottawa might come out hard and get one in the first. Both teams to score in the first wouldn't be a bad idea to look at here. And then Carolina just picks them apart and ends up winning like 4-2 or something like that. So what's the total? Now we'll look at the lines. I know the line for Carolina is not going to be great. Saying all that, Carolina in regulation isn't giving you enough here. 6.5? I would go under for sure. Under 6.5. That would be my play here. If you can do it, I would take Carolina third period second period minus 0.5. Whenever that can come up. Yeah, well, if you do the Asian goal line, you can get a push, yeah. But if you do their regular, because the Asian goal line is like regulation, so that would be a push for sure. Buffalo, Florida. This one is Buffalo coming off that high of beating Tampa Bay. And now they're going to play Florida. I mean, the over seems like a no-brainer here. Right? It seems like a no-brainer here. But 7, I mean, I don't like 7. At minus. They're not even giving you plus money on the over 7. Let's look at what Florida has played. Florida hasn't played in 3 days. Buffalo is coming off a big, big win. So I like to look at recent history and see what Florida has did on rest. I mean, people will look at Florida long term on rest. I don't do that myself. I prefer to look at recent history and the team that they have right now. So we could go after the All-Star break. Maurice is, by the way, a lot of people, I want to say this too. A lot of people have been saying that Maurice is not a good coach and all. I totally disagree with that. I think Maurice is a great coach. He was given a difficult situation. Florida doesn't have a great defense. They still don't. They had a whole bunch of changes in this lineup. And it was a whole different almost philosophy of what they were doing before. And he had to recalibrate everything. And you got poor goaltending to go with it. I think he's done fairly well with this team, to tell you the honest truth. So, what do we got? Feb 6th, Feb 9th. Geez, they haven't had many long layoffs here. 4th to the 7th. Oh, that's 6th to the 9th, and then loss. Here's where they had 6th, 7th, 8th, 2 days rest. Geez, they've had a tough schedule too on top of it. There hasn't been much rest in the schedule at all. What the heck? When was the All-Star game? Oh, here we go. They went January 28th to the 6th, and then they played San Jose at home, and they won, and then lost to Colorado, who was at the end of a losing road trip, and then won against Minnesota. That was really the only rest game we saw. But I know of Maurice back when he was with the Jets. He was really good at preparing teams for bad spots. I think Florida wins this game. We'll look at Buffalo on the back-to-back. See if we can get Buffalo on back-to-backs. See, you can look at Buffalo overall back-to-back, but I really don't think that tells you all that much. This is the group that they have now, and you take into account, like, I don't even go early, early in the season. I look for later in the season back-to-backs and how they've done, especially on the road. They've been a really good road team. So, what do we got? 17, 19, 21, 23. Not much back-to-back stuff here. 6, oh, that's down. They beat Montreal on the road and then came home and beat St. Louis. And that was in 3 games in 4 nights. But, I mean, St. Louis was overrated at that time. They lost to Pittsburgh, and they back-to-back lost to Pittsburgh there. I remember that. They haven't played all that many back-to-backs. Again, they beat St. Louis after losing to Dallas, both of them on the road. Yeah, that was, like, they have been road warriors quite a bit here. This is a tough one. Both teams need to win, like, big time. Luukkonen should be in net, and Bobrovsky. This got to be an over. Florida is on rest. Let's go look at lineups and see what we can find there. That's what I do when it comes down to, you know, I'm a little bit iffy on each. I just think with that was a tough win against Tampa. Florida needing this win as much as they do, I think Florida may pull this out. No Barkov? Barkov's hurt again? Oh, Jesus. No Barkov, no Bennett for tonight. What the heck happened to Barkov? I didn't even know. Undisclosed. Wow. So you got Lusterinen playing with Lundell and Reinhardt, and Eric Stahl playing with Verhaeghe and Kachuk. I would hold the brakes on the over here. I would tap the brakes a bit on the over here. Florida's beat up. Very beat up. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to play the over here, and that's very odd for me to say. When you got two of your top two centers out, you're not thinking offense. Buffalo, I'm going to say Buffalo coming off that big win. Okay, let's look at their recent. Florida's had time off. Buffalo coming off the big win, going to be on a high. Buffalo ML first period. After that, I don't know. With Barkov and Bennett being out, oh man, that's a tough call. I might consider a draw here. It all evens out here. You want to do the Leafs game next, Perk? I can do that. That's a tough game. I mean, what was Buffalo? Is Buffalo playing four? Oh, Buffalo is playing 4 games in 6 nights, though. That's going to be a tough game. I'm going to lean. I'm going to say it's 7. I'm going to say the under here. I'm going to say the under in this game. You want to do the Toronto game next? All right. You guys can do that, by the way. Has everybody tapped the like button before I go on here? I don't see one like on here. Oh, maybe if I look at my live thing here. What do we got? 3 likes. Okay. Okay, I'll go there. Toronto game. You want the Toronto game next? Okay, let's do the Toronto game. Matchup. Minnesota coming off of a shutdown win over Columbus. And Toronto playing a sandwich game in Minnesota where they played in Buffalo, they come home, they beat up Buffalo pretty bad, they come home against Minnesota, and then they go against Seattle. Pretty sure Gustafsson will be in net here. Of course, Minnesota played last night. Playing 3 games in 4 nights. I watched that game. I don't think they expended a ridiculous amount of energy in that game. But it's going to be a tough one against Toronto. Gustafsson's a great goaltender. Minnesota, even in the win, only scored 2 goals. And I think if we look here, that's been a pretty big trend for the Minnesota Wild to be under 2 goals. 2-1, 2-1. Okay, they got 4 on Nashville. Dallas 2, Colorado 2, only 1 against Florida. Managed 3 against New Jersey. Toronto is fairly rested, coming off a big win off of Buffalo after shitting the bed against Chicago. They're in a comfortable spot. What is there any look at who does Toronto have to play next? Seattle. They're going on the road after this. Toronto's going on the road after this all the way to Seattle. Gustafsson and net. I think Toronto minus 0.5 first period. I don't know because, yeah, Toronto minus 0.5 first period. And I think you got to lean the under. Gustafsson is a great goaltender. Has been playing really well. Samsonov has been playing really well. If Toronto gets ahead, they're probably going to want to shut it down rather than run and gun with Minnesota here, since they got to go on the road after this and play Seattle. So yeah, it seems like a pretty good under spot to me. I would definitely think the under. So let's look at what we got here for under 6 at plus 103. The only problem I would have here is if Minnesota were to run out of gas and Toronto would run up the score. The other problems there would be that Toronto is thinking ahead to going on the road and Minnesota actually wins this game. Minnesota needs the win way more than Toronto does. Way more. Plus 180. O'Reilly's back. Feeling good about themselves. This could be a play down to their competition game here, too. Wonder how highly they would look at Minnesota here, Toronto. And they're playing Seattle after a big win against Buffalo. Oh, you got under 6.5. Yeah, I would take under 6.5 there for sure. Yeah, I think the under it's a 6 now at plus money. It's probably the way to go. Minnesota's going to give everything they got here. They're not going to cave. They saved some. I think this could be a tough game. I think this could be a tough game. Probably fairly tight. I wouldn't even reject a draw here, to tell you the honest truth. And that's the last thing Toronto would want, is a draw. But I like Toronto first period. I just think that they're going to want to, if they can, put it away right away. Minnesota going from Columbus to Toronto, that's a fair trek. But on the other hand, Toronto may be surprised about how much desperation Minnesota has in the first period, too. It's a 6. First period under 1.5. I think that would be the play here. What are we getting on that? We'll look at Play Alberta. Let's look at first period under 1.5. I don't think Toronto's going to come out and crush Minnesota right away. Minnesota already has a tough time scoring, and they got a really good goaltender in net. Minus 1.5 pays minus 140. That's a good look. I like that. Toronto may win or score. Minnesota may score. But I think overall Toronto may eventually just take it over. It's a tough that's a tough one to cap. But if I were to take anything, I think I'm looking at and 280 on the draw. It's not a very good number. But minus 1.5 first period seems like a pretty good play. All right, what do we got next? Okay, we skipped one. Montreal, Philadelphia. And, I mean, what do we got as an over-under here? 6. I probably would just keep rolling with Montreal here, especially if Malton Bowl is in net. I think Philadelphia is just coming off that Western road trip, right? Yeah, they just flew back from Edmonton. It wasn't the most successful road trip. They did beat Calgary, though. And they have New Jersey. They're coming home, and then they got to go on the road after that. And Montreal has been rolling. I mean, I think I got to go Montreal. Are you getting plus money on that? Plus 147? Are you kidding me? Absolutely no doubt about it. Montreal all day. I shouldn't even be telling you this because I got clients, but I like Carter Hart better at home. Oh, I think Allen is in net, though. I'm not big on Allen, but still. I'd lean the over. The way Montreal has been playing as of late, they've been playing with a lot of freaking heart. They got Philadelphia to win, but I'm not playing Philadelphia at what, minus 161? Are you kidding me? Philadelphia coming off a Western road trip at minus 161. You think I'm playing that shit? Not a chance in God's green earth am I playing that shit. I mean, Philadelphia, the only way they win is if they grind you down. And you're coming back from like how many time zones to Philadelphia after playing a Western road trip? How much are you going to be able to grind here? Yeah, I would say over 6. I would definitely look at the over. That's just basically on Montreal. Montreal has been they beat New Jersey. Okay, Montreal beat New Jersey. That was a surprise win. They lost to Toronto. They lost to Carolina, of course. But let's look at the game logs here for Montreal. They're not a good road team. That's the hard thing for me here is they haven't been a very good road team. They lost to Carolina and Toronto on the road. They beat Chicago, Edmonton at home. Before that, they had a bitch of a time winning on the road. They won against the Rangers. They've had a couple days off since New Jersey. Coming off that big win, I think they're going to feel pretty confident about themselves after that big win. And they fly home after this and play a tough game in Ottawa. Philadelphia. it was a losing road trip, which, you know, makes the first game after a road trip a little less bettable. But then they go right back on the road against New Jersey and then come home against the Rangers. Pretty hectic schedule. Pretty hectic schedule. All right, let's look at recent stuff here between the two. Neither are playing for anything, but both are kind of not playing like they're not playing for anything. I get more of the idea that Philadelphia is kind of giving up the ghost than Montreal, though. I think a plus 126 or 147. It's a no-brainer. You take Montreal, and if it doesn't win, it doesn't win. I mean, you know, really take Philadelphia at minus 163? Yeah, I'd definitely be looking towards Toronto there too. Nothing special head to head. Recent games. Montreal won 5-4 when they were at home. Philadelphia beat them 6-3 on the road. I don't know what the spot was there. Yeah, I would go Montreal. Even at plus 1.5, you're probably not getting bad. Yeah, minus 195. Parlay the plus 1.5 with another pick here. It might not be a bad play if you got a confident pick. So it brings us to the Islanders in LA, and with Quick and Net, I can't take LA. I just can't. I don't like the price on the Islanders. I'm not a huge Islanders fan. But I would take the over with Quick and Net. That, geez, it's slipping away. That 5.5 is slipping away. So minus 127 is you're eating some juice, but it's a tough over to take with the way the Islanders have been playing, though. It's just with Quick and Net, I imagine they will pot in at least 2. He's just terrible. It's gone. No, the trend is over. Yeah, the trend between the two is over. New Jersey had a tough loss last night against, or LA had a tough loss last night against New Jersey. Any chance Barzal is back? The Islanders beat Winnipeg in a game that I don't think, did they deserve that game? Sorokin pretty much won. Sorokin is on fire right now. Just on absolute fire. I would not take the Islanders in regulation here. Certainly not. I would. I mean, this is another one. This could be a draw. LA is going to give everything they got. It's just Quick is the biggest X factor to me. How's Quick going to play? I'm leaning the Islanders, but like by one goal, one way or the other. So LA plus 1.5 in a parlay or Islanders money line. They're on a bit of a run right now, mostly against like what I call shit teams, though. Now, LA comes in on after a road trip and a loss. They're going to give her. They're going to give her for sure, especially in the first period. And then probably fade after that, I would think. 3 games in 4 nights on the road. From Minnesota to New Jersey to the island, and they have the Rangers after. Yeah, I'm going to take the Islanders here. The game they really want is against the Rangers. I think they're... Now, as far as the total is concerned, over 5.5. Over 5.5. Because Quick is in net, I would go over 5.5. And I got to lean the Islanders. I think they're going to have a little better legs. I would take the Islanders here. And then LA's got to fight it out with the Rangers. That's going to be on 4 games in 6. It's going to be tough. Tough schedule. Tough schedule. The thing is, LA is pretty set in the standings, so, and New York needs it hardcore. I'm not an Islanders fan this year of the team in general, or the Horvat move or anything like that. You got, Kopitar against Dano. Pajot's out. The thing is, that's the other thing, is the Islanders are pretty beat up right now. Man, this is a tough one. This is a tough one. Over 5.5 is my play. That's it. I'm done. And I think the Islanders pull it out, but I think the over 5.5 is the way to go there. Colorado versus Winnipeg. Colorado's had 4 days off. I don't like Winnipeg. And I believe Winnipeg's coming off the Eastern road trip. Are they not? Yeah. Probably pretty sloppy in the first period. I would think that what's the total here? I think Colorado takes this out eventually. That's what I like to... That's the way I would look here, is that Colorado takes this out eventually. It may take a bit for their legs to get going. It's over under 5.5. I would take the over. It might take a while to get there, but I think it would probably be over. Colorado's got to get their ass in gear. I doubt they've been out hanging out in the sun for 4 days here. They're not. They're just holding on to a playoff spot right now. So I think they'll be pretty driven in this game. They're beat up. They don't have Makar. Winnipeg coming off a road trip. When they were with Maurice, they used to do pretty well coming off a road trip. But Maurice is really good at that for some reason. I don't know how that works out, but let's look at their game logs here. Colorado has kind of owned them a little bit. Its total has gotten under in 10 if Colorado's the last 11 games on the road. Are they going to play that kind of game against Winnipeg? One thing I should look at more is their home and away records. Yeah, see, Winnipeg's really good at home. Colorado's not bad at away. So let's look at the last time Colorado had an extended rest. Colorado's played a pretty pretty compact schedule. They had 3 days rest off the road and lost to Tampa in a tight one. Not too much extended rest here. Probably the reason why Colorado is having a bit of a. I think the rest is going to do them good. Practice time and all that kind of stuff like that. When was the last time they played? Let's see if we can find that. They destroyed them 5-0. See if we can find that. Winnipeg, 5-0. First game of a road trip, which is what this is. 2 days rest. Oh no, wait. Destroy them. Okay, this is Winnipeg's. Colorado schedule. Okay. Did you say Winnipeg destroyed them 5-0? I thought it looks like it was the other way around. Winnipeg. At Winnipeg. Lost 5-0. Okay, yeah, that was when all the injuries were hitting early on in the season. Now you got a Colorado team that's on a 3-game winning streak. Won an impressive game against Edmonton. And now we're going on had to go all the way to Winnipeg. Ew. That's a shitty part. You just won against Edmonton and now you got to fly to Winnipeg. It's like minus fucking whatever here now. It's like it's so cold here right now. It's minus 30 degrees right now. And then come home and play against Calgary. So it's a fucking. They had to spend 3 days in Winnipeg. Well, I'll tell you what, they were doing nothing but practicing because there's fuck all to do in Winnipeg. Like nothing. You're not doing anything but going to the practice rink. Now, did they practice at home and then fly to Winnipeg? These are things I would like to know. When did they fly to Winnipeg? I mean, I'm sure they would want to fly to Winnipeg at the last freaking minute. But the thing is, Winnipeg had to fly from the east. They played at Minnesota, at St. Louis, and then had to come home and then play Winnipeg. They were like, right, what the fuck is that? That's crazy. Shitty deal. Shitty deal. How many days did Winnipeg have off? 1 day. They flew from New York, came home, and now play Colorado. Colorado, first period money line. What's that? I like Colorado first period. You get minus 147 for Colorado and plus 118 for Winnipeg at home. I think Colorado gets their shit together and probably wins this game. But it's a tough spot. It's not a great spot, but it's not a great spot for Winnipeg either. I don't trust Winnipeg's defense. Can we get some goaltender confirmation here to help us out? Probably not. Hard against Allen. Hellebuck will be in net. Against Gorgiev. I don't like the 5.5. I wish it was a 6. I would go under, so I should probably stay away from the total. But I think the Avalanche are going to pepper them in the first period. Avalanche minus 0.5 first period. There you go. It took me a long time to get to that, but I think that would be my play here. All right. That's my full 42, boys and girls. By the way, search Pearlo on TikTok. I give a whole shitload of stuff out there. And also, I sent my Twitter, Pearlo's NHL POW. I have a Facebook page. Search Pearlo Wisdom on Facebook. You can get me there. And of course, there's BPOW Picks, which is doing very, very well this year. Search, I'll go give you BPOW Picks. Now you're like, okay, well, why would we want to go pay you for picks if you just gave me all the picks? Well, first of all, this may not be my picks. These are my early leans. Second of all, I'm going to have props, team total overs. I put a shitload out there. I have a VIP group, though, where I give 3 picks a day, and it's doing very well on my 3 picks a day. It's doing better than I thought it would because I'm a volume better. So I didn't know how I was going to do if I started doing a little bit of picks, but a lot of people kept on asking for it. But it's actually doing really well. So you can check that out. I got a $10 a day package for that package. If you want the high roller, high volume, it's $15 for a day. It's $15. Go in there, check it out. You can also get a free 3 days that you can peruse the site and all of those sort of things like that. But until next time, which will probably be Monday, thank you all for coming in. Lots of love to you. I'll give you a little Pearlo dance on your way out. And boom.